Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to Mortis FM, a Star Wars podcast. I'm Grayson, one of your hosts.
I'm not Grayson, also known as Cole, the other host. What's up, everybody? What's up, Grayson? How you doing?
I'm fantastic. Today, first of all, you should be listening to this at the beginning of the new year, so Happy New Year, Happy 2024.
Happy New Year, everyone. Tell us your resolutions. How long do you think you'll keep it up for?
I love you how you said that last episode as well. But hey, 2024 means a new year of Star Wars content. But, you know, I think we should go back and maybe look at the year behind us and see, examine the content that 2023 brought to us. So today we will be ranking and discussing the 5 major projects that came out in 2023 and kind of ranking where they sit with us and our favorites of the year, and just kind of looking back on it and then just getting excited for the year ahead. So
time for reflection. So Grayson,
Indeed.
What are these 5 projects that we're going to be ranking today?
The 5 major projects are Jedi Survivor, Bad Batch Season 2, Mandalorian Season 3, Ahsoka, and Visions Season 2. That is not in any specific order. We're about to give you those in our specific order. So what we're going to do is we're going to rank them from 5 being the worst to 1 being the best. I'll say mine, Cole will say his. We'll just go back and forth. We're just going to let you know where we place them, and then we're just going to get into a full-fledged discussion, see where they kind of cross over, match up, and then kind of talk about why maybe a project was better for myself or you, or why it sat a little bit lower. I'm honestly intrigued to see where you put yours at, because we haven't really talked. I mean, we've talked about these projects on an individual scale, but not in like the grand scheme of 2023 and where we put them at.
Yeah, we haven't tallied them up yet. So, but now we are.
So now we will. I have nothing else to address beforehand. So Cole, why don't you go ahead and just start us out? Tell me your number 5.
All right, my number 5, which is probably going to be contentious for some. My number 5 is Mando Season 3.
Mine is the same.
Very well.
Yeah.
Let us proceed. We will talk about this after we rank them all up. My number 4, which was actually really tough. I was swapping between 3 and 4 a lot. Right now, and I could be persuaded, but right now my number 4 is Visions.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What's yours?
Okay. Mine is Bad Batch Season 2.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And you know what? We're gonna flop again. Grayson, what's your number 3?
My number 3 is Ahsoka.
All right. Interesting. Yeah. My number 3 is Bad Batch Season 2.
Okay. All right. I was curious how high you were gonna place it. Yeah. Well, what is your number 2 then?
My number 2 is Ahsoka.
Wow. Well, that's pretty close for mine, because 3 was Ahsoka for me. 2 for me is Visions. Yeah.
Yeah, I could definitely see that. So, Grayson, our number 1 then is, to no surprise, Jedi Survivor.
Yep.
All right, let's get into this. So
let's start from the bottom, and then we can make our way back up to.
All right.
Starting with, we shared a common one of that being Mando Season 3. Why was Mando Season 3 at the bottom of all these projects for you?
Yeah, so I think we've talked about this intermittently from episodes here and there. I know that we went into it in our tier list a little bit. Mando Season 3, I'm not going to say was bad. I don't think it was bad. I just think it was I would say it is very distant from the other 2 Mandalorian seasons.
Yeah.
I think in terms of how that series has presented itself, Season 3 just fell really flat. In complete contrast to the expectations for that season. I mean, I was gearing up for this to be like the best season ever, but in actuality, it just really didn't work for me. I feel like a lot of it was some wasted potential. I think a great deal of development for the season was done in Book of Boba Fett, which was bad.
If you want to hear more about that, go check out part 2 of our tier list. We get all into the Book of Boba Fett, but
yeah, we get all into that. I think we talked about that for a while, actually.
I think the longest out of that episode, yeah.
Yeah, and so overall, I would say Mando season 3 was just it was just kind of strange. You just didn't really expect what the season gave you, and it wasn't in a good way. It wasn't like this is a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one. In more or less, it was a surprise, but also why is the season like this? I guess.
Yeah, it was something you were referencing. I think we were talking about one of the projects last week, and you mentioned how like one of them was tonally confused. This doesn't necessarily feel tonally confused, but it just feels directionally confused. The season starts and you think it's gonna go like, oh, this is the direction they're going, that they're setting up the kind of the Mandalore stuff, and then we get more stuff regarding the Imperials, and then it's not until the end of the season that you get the sudden appearance of Moff Gideon, which, to be honest, I did not think was going to be in the season at all. So it felt very weird when he just came back out of nowhere.
Yeah, they were. It sounded like they were setting up something cool with him, right? Mm-hmm. And then he's just suddenly there, and then also dispatched. In the span of a couple episodes, basically.
When that episode happens, where they're like, oh, Moff Gideon, he broke out of his transport to get to the prison, or to trial or whatever. You're like, oh, this maybe feels like a tease that they're setting up for the next season, right? Like, oh, Moff Gideon got out, but like, hey, we're focusing on Mandalore and Bo-Katan and the reclaiming and reunifying of the Mandalorian cultures and subcultures as we see it, which they did ultimately do. But even then, like, when the finale comes and Moff Gideon is there and he's pulling a Palpatine, or pulling a Star Killer from Force Unleashed 2, or at least what Vader was doing, where like he's like, oh, I'm trying to clone myself and give myself the Force, and it's like they threw a lot of ideas into one thing in a very crammed season. And I mean, like the damage that the Book of Boba Fett did to this season, we've talked about before. I think the season would have been more cohesive, or would have just felt a little bit more satisfying if they had spent the first half of the season getting, or the full season honestly, but the first half of the season getting Mando and Grogu back together in their own show, and then moving forward with like, hey, let's start unifying all the Mandalorians, and then the season ends with like, we're going to retake Mandalore, and then season 4 starts with bam, like they're on Mandalore, they're trying to get it back on whatever is happening there. And then the last half of the season is like, oh, remember what we set up last season where Moff Gideon broke out? Well, now he's back. It felt like it was a 2-season endeavor that they crammed into one, and they were just kind of hopping all over the place. That's
the thing, because like I remember we both kind of pointed this out at the time, that it felt like they were trying to push Din into a position into where he was available for a future movie or future project or something. So it felt like everything was like just kind of rushed, because they had been setting up the Moff Gideon cloning stuff since like season 1, I think. Like they started like planting those seeds, and then it amounted to really nothing. I mean,
at least as far as we know, but even then it's kind of like, it felt really rushed. I felt like they were just trying to kind of push Mando into a position of, oh, he's not doing anything, so he'll be available for the movie or for whatever else we're doing with him. I just think it was kind of a waste, just a waste of potential for the show. It fell flat, and you said at the beginning, like, it's not bad. Like, I didn't sit there watching it and be like, man, I hate this. I'm so annoyed watching this. It was frustrating to the extent of, certain episodes would, like, I think about the episode where they had to save Paz Vizsla's son. Like, that episode, I was like, okay, like, we spent a whole episode on this. This seems like a fraction of a bigger episode, and then you can't help and go without mentioning the Lizzo Jack Black thing. And it's just, like the coolest and most different episode was when we focus on, and I'm forgetting the scientist's name, but it's like Aaliyah Elia Kane, I believe, she was the undercover agent for Gideon. Like that stuff was really cool. We get to see more of Coruscant. Also, we get more of Grogu's backstory of Keller and Beck is the one that say like that stuff is cool. I don't mind that stuff. Yeah, it's just like you said, it's like it was a fast track to make Mando as available as quickly as possible, and I really do think that's why Grogu and Mando got back together in Book of Boba Fett, so they could spend time making Din available for whatever is happening next. And I don't like that. I think they sacrificed the vision and the tone of what the Mandalorian was for the sake of just making him available, and that sucks.
Yeah. It's a terrible form of irony, because Mando season 1 was basically this explicit statement of this is not connected to the overarching Star Wars story. This is a standalone, independent type of adventure. And then in efforts to connect him to the broader universe, that independent story is not exactly ruined, but rushed and wasted. And it's disappointing. It's disappointing. You know, like, I don't think it was bad, but I think season 3, and I mean, you can see, you know, some people might disagree with me, but you can see some inklings of that in season 2, where they start to bring in more iconic characters into his story.
Yeah.
And while I don't see, you know, a lot of things wrong with that, I just think that it makes the universe feel small. And Star Wars is meant to be, you know, vast, right?
Yeah. I mean, the characters that they brought into season 2, at least, it worked because they were characters that made sense. I'd say maybe the one that was the biggest stretch was Ahsoka, but even then, you know, there's not that many Jedi or people who would assume is a Jedi in the galaxy at the time. You know, the mission of that season was to get Grogu to his masters, to his people, that being the Jedi, and there's not that many out there. It was really just Ahsoka and Luke, and so I mean, like Bo-Katan, like her showing up, I was like, oh, that was really cool, and it was a one thing, and then she pops up again at the end of the season. Like, we're getting those teases of the Mandalorian. Boba Fett naturally makes sense. Din goes to Tatooine often. We know Boba is there. We also got characters like Cobb Vanth. That was a really cool inclusion from the Aftermath books that they actually brought in.
That was cool.
And then, you know, Luke Skywalker showing up at the very end it made sense. He is the Jedi in the galaxy at the time, and Grogu was given to him. And so those characters, when they show up, like, it made sense to me. I was like, you know, like, I get, obviously they're including more, but it still feels that like adventure of the week, and they're still succeeding in getting him to that point. And the emotional payoff at the end of season 2 was really good. And then I think season 3, they were just like, because of Book of Boba Fett in season 3, those two projects kind of continuously just really skewed the progress and the overall direction of the Mandalorian, you know?
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. I mean, it bothers me to think now about how one of the main like plot devices of season 2 was to get Grogu to his master, and that was how it ended. And then that is completely undone in terms of the show off screen, because it's in another show. And so season 3 starts with the entire reason for season 2 existing already, you know, being undone or reversed. And so, yeah, it's wasted potential. I mean, I feel like they're just, we could do a whole episode on this.
I was about to say, I mean, we said it before, like Mando season 3, the premiere of that show should have been the episode, The Return of the Mandalorian from Book of Boba Fett. That episode is amazing on its own. That is an incredible episode in a show that's not The Mandalorian. And I also never had a problem with Din showing up in the Book of Boba Fett. Like, I think that makes sense, but it should have just been like, hey, I'll come help you. You help me out, I'll help you. And then that teases where we're going with Mando season 3, but he doesn't meet up back with Grogu. Ahsoka and Luke are not there. You know, he still has the Darksaber from that show. And then it's like, basically, the episodes that Din is in, just get rid of the one where it's him by himself and the one after that, and just make one of the episodes like, hey, we're going to go get the Mandalorian. We're going to ask for his help. He assembles this crew of bounty hunters and outlaws and enforcers like Chris Santon and Fennec Shand, and throw Bosk in there. Why not? And, you know, people like Bosk. That. That was also, sorry, I don't want to make it about Book of Boba Fett, but that'd be crazy. He's alive at that time too. But and then, you know, it's okay for Book of Boba Fett to at least like have Mando and then set up what season 3 was going to do. But I mean, the damage that show did to what Mando season 3 was trying to do, it's clear attempts at the corporate side of Disney and Lucasfilm trying to make him available and be like, let's get Grogu toys back and everything. Like, it's not Mando. Like, I feel like on a board, they were like, it can't be the Mandalorian without Grogu. And I'm like, that's not true. I was like, I mean, yes, he's integral to that, but like, and then I would have been okay with an entire season without Grogu, you know, let Din process and in a way grieve the loss of Grogu. And, you know, of course we can get little scenes of showing Grogu training with Luke.
Yeah,
right?
I was about to say, like, if you want to have more Grogu toys, just have half of Mando season 3 or like snippets of it. Like, have the story be divided. You know, show us what these two characters are like, separate from one another. You know,
can still do the Keller and Beck thing of like Luke, you know, finally connecting with Grogu and seeing his backstory, and we get that little things like that. Whereas, like, you know, Grogu is with his people, the Jedi, and Mando is with his people, the Mandalorians, but he still can't help but shake this feeling like he misses his son, you know?
Yeah.
It's just fast and lazy writing, and that's why it's the bottom. I will say, the one thing I do like about this season is the stuff regarding the Mandalorians. I think that is the best stuff in this season. The things where Mando, we saw a post about this, and you shared it with me, and it made me feel a lot better, and I think for you as well, of the fact that Din Djarin is a kingmaker. You know, he put someone like Greef Karga into power, into leadership on Navarro, and it's thriving. He did this. He's doing the same thing with Bo-Katan. You know, all these different characters. There was another character.
He helped Boba surface himself as the daimyo.
He helped Cobb Vanth, like with their town. You know, what they call it, Freetown now. He
got Cara Dune her position basically as one of the Rangers, right?
Right. Like he's this support role, and I'm like, that's a really cool idea. It backs up and creates a really strong foundation of like, hey, Mando is not the main character, you know, he's the main character of the show, but in the greater scheme of all these other characters that you know and love, or have these bigger and higher senses of duty and purpose, he's just there to help them out. You know,
he's a drifter, you know, like he goes from place to place, changes people's lives, and then leaves. That's just, that's his kind of character. It's all about him trying to find his own place by helping others.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, like, I love that revelation that he's a kingmaker. I think it would be a really intriguing, like, season 3 if we spent the entire time of him like battling with himself about having the Darksaber and having that, you know, responsibility, and then it could be a really great character moment where he just passes the torch and just goes like, this is not meant for me, this is meant for you, Bo, you know.
For me, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, he accepts his role as that he doesn't want to be a king, he wants to be a father. And then we could even have that like reuniting at the end of season 3, right? I would be okay with that, because then we'd have a full season of experiencing like what he's like without Grogu.
I've always viewed Din Djarin in the way, or not always, but like over time, I've always loved to view him in the way that he's kind of like the main character of an Elder Scrolls game. Specifically like the hero of Kavat from Oblivion, or I mean even the Dragonborn in Skyrim. Like, yes, the Dragonborn is the person who defeats the dragons, but like, you know, in a lot of quests and things, you know, you're helping out the Jarls of the towns and things like that. You're this character, and for Oblivion, you just help save this one town as something that Mando would do. But in the end of the game, I won't say anything for people who haven't played Oblivion, even though it's a nearly 20-year-old game. He just supports the person who does save the world in the end of the day. You know, he puts that character in a position of power. Like, and that's always been so cool to me, is to make him, the Mandalorian is kind of like a very video game type character where he's leveling up and he's meeting these new companions,
he's
and
getting
going
new
on these,
armor.
Right, exactly. Like it's perfect video game material. But I was
gonna say it'd be great to have a Mando game.
Maybe one day. I'd love that. But yeah, that's just, I think that explains enough of why we put Mando season 3 in our bottom slot.
Yeah, not bad. Just kind of wasted potential.
Yeah, I hope
Do better.
I hope they streamline and focus more of him as a character in the future. Truly his development, but we'll see. What was your number 4?
My number 4 was Visions, but
Visions.
it was kind of hard to put it there. Like 2 through 4 for me.
Same.
I really just love. I mean, like I love all of these projects in their own way, but 2 through 4 was just really tough to sort them. I feel like it could change at any moment.
So do you want to talk about Visions first? Do you want to talk about Bad Batch season 2 first? Because that's my number 4.
Okay, we'll go into Bad Batch season 2 first. The reason why I put Bad Batch as number 3 and not 4 was because I was just thinking about, you know, the absolute majesty of those crosshair those crosshair episodes, and I know that it doesn't make up for the rest of the show, but I think also those 2 episodes about Rex and Echo and helping the senator, I think that was really good too, and I think ultimately it was it's leading up to something that I think could be really good. I'm really excited for season 3 of Bad Batch. Yeah. I feel like at this point it's no more episode of the week type stuff, because now, you know, spoilers for Bad Batch season 2, Omega is captured, right? Like, we don't have time to be running around doing odd jobs. Like, we have to find her, right? And we're going to be going back and forth between the Bad Batch and Omega and Crosshair on Mount Tantus together.
Yeah.
Which I'm just really excited for that. But we're going to talk about season 2. I'm not going to try to go too much into season 3. In retrospect, I just thought it was really enjoyable. I loved how it built up the Bad Batch as a family. I thought it had some really heartfelt moments. And I thought that it was really good at establishing just how lost Crosshair was without his team. And so ultimately I look back on it, you know, just in a really good light. Obviously, like, most of I didn't put it at number 1 because, you know, most of the season isn't like absolutely stellar material, but it's still good. I thought it was a good time.
Yeah, for me, I didn't put it at number 4 just because I was like, oh, it's bad. Like, I like season 2 better than I like season 1. I think the good content in Bad Batch is more frequent than the episodes that I didn't like. Bad Batch season 2, I didn't keep up with. I was bad about keeping up with week to week. Until it hit a certain point and I caught up and I was like, oh, I really like this season. The Crosshair episodes are incredible. I think the development that they give to Tech is really good.
Yes.
And sets up towards the end of the season.
Because of course they gave him a bunch of development, didn't they?
Yeah. They were like, we gotta yank the heartstrings here, but it's just the only reason it's in number 4 is just because I enjoyed the other projects more. That's really it. Like, I think
perfectly understandable.
I just think the other projects are more consistent and were ones that I was, when I think about viewing them or experience them, I was like, man, like, I was more consistently just having a blast and enjoying the stories presented to me.
Yeah.
Bad Batch season 2 kind of felt like, it was like, yeah, like 60-70% of this is like really good. And there's still those episodes where it's kind of like, all right, we're kind of dawdling a little bit, you know, and not to say those episodes are bad. Like, I don't think they're bad. I just remember being like, oh, this is not my favorite thing ever. But it's certainly, in my opinion, a step up from season 1.
Right. Like those kinds of episodes that it's like, you know, we're not, you know, doing what I feel like we should be doing. I think I said this in either our tier part 2 episode or our tier part 1.
Yeah.
Like, those kinds of shows, people get really caught up on using the word filler when you take a look at some of your favorite shows, like a lot of them have filler as well. Mm-hmm. If what you call is filler, you know, it's the same case there. It's moments for our characters to breathe. It's space in between these intense moments where we can watch them grow and face kinds of challenges that they otherwise would not. And yeah, I do understand that it is, yes, ultimately it is to stretch out a show, but I think that there is some merit to those kinds of episodes. And I don't think, at least in my recollection, at the very least, for our filler episodes of Bad Batch season 2, they were all still enjoyable in some way, shape, or form. Like,
I think about the there's like a two-part kind of episode where they get stuck on kind of this almost pseudo like desert planet, not desert, but more like rocky, kind of gives old west coal mine sort of vibes, where they're going to get these materials, and it kind of leads into like a Temple of Doom style thing, where there's these kids that are being used as slaves. And I was like, oh, this isn't main Bad Batch material, but it's still, I'm enjoying this. Or the episode where Tech gets to race the little pod, not a pod racer, but that's not really an important episode. But I love that episode because of how much it made me appreciate Tech more. Like, I'll be honest, like I didn't really care for Tech in the beginning.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. I was like, you actually didn't really like Tech, he was basically, like, he was just the guy.
And then I cried what happens to the end. I was like,
yeah. But that two-parter episode where they get stuck on the desert, like that serves a moment too, because it shows us how Sid is unreliable when the team, when the batch needs her. You know, they were calling for help, and like she, you know, it's just like, oh, you lost the thing, well, I'm not gonna help you, or I'll be back to you in like a month or so.
She sucks, bro. I hate her.
Yeah, she sucks, and it set that up for the future betrayal at the end of the season,
which is so good. Those last couple episodes, especially. I mean, we also got the return of the Zillow Beast, dude.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
That was so cool. We got a lot of Clone Commando action. We got Scorch back. Scorch is on the prowl, like going up against the Batch, which I really hope that they give us Delta Squad in season 3, like full on Delta Squad versus Bad Batch. You know that's what needs to happen, guys. Hemlock as a character, really engaging. Loved
so
that.
Good.
We got to see them. It was like in the last. It was where we lost Tech ultimately. Where they attack. There's the attack on the tower. You see Tarkin. You see Krennic.
Saw Gerrera.
You saw Gerrera.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's really good.
It's very enjoyable. So
Bad Batch gets a, no pun intended, a bad rap, but it's like, again, like it's only in my number 4 just because I liked the other projects more. It's not because I was like there is a bit of a gap between Mando season 3 and Bad Batch season 2 when, you know, those shows there was a point where they were crossing over a little bit, and so we would get a couple weeks where we were getting a Bad Batch episode and a Mando episode, and every week that happened, I was like, Bad Batch was better than Mando. It's like,
yeah, I know. I remember seeing this meme on Twitter where it was like, it's like that shot for shot of guys like sitting just like really that's exactly what it is. So like it says when there's a Mando episode and it's just these dudes deadpan, but when it's a Bad Batch episode, they're just yes which is just the strangest thing in the world, because you think that it would be the exact opposite.
Yep.
But no, Bad Batch, I mean, enjoyable week by week. Didn't let me down.
I'm really excited for season 3. I think season 2 sets up a lot of really cool stuff, and we didn't even mention like the stuff with Palpatine and the manipulation
Palpatine
of Rampart.
And the clone rebellion with Echo and those clones hijacking the ship, dude.
Yeah.
Fireball, my guy Fireball, one of the best new
crazy.
clones. Oh man. Oh. I'm so excited for Bad Batch.
It's good. Season 2 of Bad Batch was genuinely good. I mean no disrespect when I put it at number 4.
Yeah, no, perfectly understandable. I want more shows from that animation studio.
Yes.
Because every time they put something out, I'm just like, yes, more of this. We got Tales of the Jedi, Clone Wars, Rebels, Bad Batch.
This year.
That's right.
And Bad Batch season 3 this year. That's two animated shows this year that we're getting, and I'm stoked.
I'm really distraught that Bad Batch is going to end with 3 seasons.
Same.
I'm kind of hoping that it leads up to like a Clone Rebellion show. But that's probably a little too far-fetched. Honestly, at that case, they might as well just, have it be another Bad Batch season. But yeah, anyway. All right. So, do you want to talk about Visions next?
Let's go and talk about Visions. Yours was, because that's probably the biggest contrast, because I had mine at 2 and you had it at 4.
Yeah.
So since you started with Bad Batch and it being a little bit higher, I'll start with Visions. I don't know what, and I know it's an unpopular opinion. I don't know why it just hit me so well. But to be honest, like Vision season 2, I enjoyed from beginning to end. Every single episode. The season 1 has a lot of really good episodes, but there's, again, we've talked about this before in our tier list. There's some episodes in there that I can't help but be like, eh. But we watched season 2 of Visions together, and I remember watching it, and every single episode just, I was like, this is beautiful. And I think what helps a ton is they branched off from it just being strictly anime. It's anime. It's all different animation styles, which I think does a lot for the show. I mean, I love anime and anime styles, and those are still there in season 2. But you get things like claymation, and one episode that is a little closer to Clone Wars animation style, and it just a lot of vast different stylistic choices, and even the episodes that I thought I wasn't gonna like. What was the episode? Oh, Screecher's Reach, an episode that absolutely, like, I watched it and I was like, this is interesting, and then the end, I was floored. I was like, this is amazing, and it's one of those things where I talked about this on Tales from the Archives. By the way, if you didn't go check out our second stream of that happened a few days ago, go check it out. It's on any of our channels. But that show really helped me appreciate things that are non-canon. Because that show, I mean, the whole point was like, oh, it's just different stories by these different storytellers. They don't need to fit into the grander story or the canon or mythos. But the thing is like, a lot of the episodes, you really could try to fit them in if you wanted to, or they could be part of your Star Wars. And so Screecher's Reach is, I'm like, man, like, I view this as like some either way off in the future of after Return of the Jedi or the sequels, or like way in the past of this dark side being tempting this young girl who's strong in the Force. Like, it's cool stuff like that. You had the one where it's like this artist that she's using like her art to like
to wait off the dark side or something like that. Yeah,
it's like because she used to be a Sith and now she's not. And then you get like, I mean, probably one of my favorite episodes.
She had like this cool bike or something too.
Yeah, she had an awesome speeder bike and a droid as well. You had Journey to the Dark Head, which is a really good.
One.
I
really love that one.
That episode there shows what just a modern anime in Star Wars could do.
I think I remember specifically saying, when we finished watching Journey to the Dark Head, I was like, dude, I wish that was a show.
Give me the full thing.
Yeah, I wanted to watch that show. Vision season 2 is, I mean, you're right. I hadn't thought about that in a long time, where it's Vision season 1 was all explicitly anime. And I'm pretty sure all of it was from Japanese creators, which is amazing. Yeah. But Vision Season 2 was not only many different animation styles, but it was many different cultures and studios from around the world.
Yep.
Which I just think was a great way to show what the world can offer in terms of, what we think Star Wars is to us. Yeah. Ultimately, I think this just Star Wars Visions as a whole, both Season 1 and 2, is very indicative of kind of the purpose of Mortis FM, which is just, what, how we feel about Star Wars, what we think it is, and why we love it, our own interpretations of it. So yeah, I mean, Vision Season 2, I mean, you're right. Like, I didn't really think about it, but Season 2, even though Season 1 has some amazing episodes, Season 2 just kind of knocks Season 1 out of the water.
Yeah.
Because Season 2 is just like banger after banger. I mean, it's just all really good.
The only episode that I didn't particularly fancy, and not that it was bad, it was just the one. It was about the girl and her mother. That they're doing a race, and it was like capitalist Wedge Antilles. Remember that?
That was so funny though. I loved that.
Like, that was an episode that I was like, I don't love this episode, but at the end of it, I did like get a little emotional with the message it was trying to portray, and I was like, I still liked that,
I mean, honestly, like, I still loved that episode. I thought that it was so sweet. Yeah. Like, when it started, I was like, okay, like, this is a very kind of slice of life type thing. Yeah. But then even I just felt, all warm and fuzzy by the end of the end of that episode. Good. So even that one struck a chord with me.
What was the episode where it's the girl, she's forced since, well, sorry, I'm like going back and looking at all this stuff. There was one where they live on this planet where there's like a mountain full of kyber crystals, right? That this Jedi comes through and they like purify, right?
That was the last one in the season.
Yes, and then there's another one where it's about an older sister and a younger sister that are both force sensitive, and the Imperials have taken over their planet and created this plant, and they both finally like give into the force, like, you know, because their mom was force sensitive. And like that episode just that hit me right here. I love that episode, and I know that maybe an unpopular take. It's not like super traditional, but I don't know. It just hit me so hard.
There was also that episode that was just absolutely beautiful. It was called the Spy Dancer, where like it's basically that it's like this Imperial controlled planet where they go to this almost kind of like casino theater type place.
Yeah.
Where what was it? They had like some kind of like special
like a ballet.
dancers. Yeah. And it was just done so beautifully, and it shows just kind of the contempt for Imperials.
Yeah.
That you know, people that they occupy their planets of.
There was a lot of that in that season, especially there was the one where they had the people in the giant hole burrowed in the ground, and they were
the pit.
Yeah,
that was such a good episode too, man. Like,
yeah.
Oh, and then there was that one where there was the older brother trying to escort his younger sister to like a safe place.
That was very like India or Pakistan influenced.
Yeah, and then you see like that older woman who's got like a cane, and she like opens it up and it's got two sabers, which like the animation style for that one was very reminiscent of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
The Sith for that too. Oh, it's just really good.
Yeah, the Inquisitor in that episode.
Yeah.
It's really good. Those cultures, that cultural influence was so heavy in that episode, and I was like, man, like it's so cool to see how much Star Wars has influenced all these other cultures, and for them to kind of put their own spin on it. I mean, when George made Star Wars, it was very influenced by, you know, sci-fi serials or Western radio serials in general, and then as well as Kurosawa and West. It was literally like samurai Western influence, you know, and he was pulling from Western and Eastern cultures, and it's like the idea that Star Wars can also bring in from other cultures, because again, you said it's so vast. The galaxy is so vast. It just creates this really cool opportunity for these creators, and that's why I think I appreciated Visions Season 2 so much, because it just opened my eyes to a lot of like all these different stories that could happen, and ones that I wouldn't think I would normally like, I absolutely loved.
Yeah, I think it just kind of reminds us that if Star Wars is told in a non-linear format, then it is still really special. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really endearing, because I mean, for people that just so closely adhere to what's canon and what's not, when they look at Visions, they can just turn off their brain, you know, because it's just fun Star Wars. You
don't gotta worry about the connecting the dots or anything. It's all just
isolated
like I'm gonna go
stories.
one by one. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. It's just really good. Yeah, you know what?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna bump up Visions to probably 3.
Mm-hmm.
But like Visions and Bad Batch are just so close for me.
That's the thing, is I can totally understand the argument of Bad Batch Season 2 being like in your third spot. If someone told me it was in their first place, I wouldn't knock them. I mean, that's the thing, is I'm not mad about that stuff. I don't care.
We said the same thing in our tier list part 2. Go watch that right now. We keep plugging that, but
it's already got a lot of views. By the way, thank you for 60 subs. We are very close to 70 already. You guys, I mean, anybody who is new to our show, we welcome you. We appreciate you being here.
Man, I love Star Wars.
It's tough. I love Star Wars, and also Star Wars is forever. That's a new term that I'm not coining, but I am adapting. For context, I have recently acquired the art and the making of The Force Unleashed, and in the beginning, the foreword is done by Hayden Christensen, and he said that internally at Lucasfilm there is a saying that Star Wars is forever, in quotes. And
that's so great.
He's like I love that, because it's true. So yeah, I love Star Wars, and Star Wars is forever. But yeah, so are you confident in putting Vision Season 2 at 3, or are you just kind of like, it's in that 3 to 4 range?
I honestly, this feels like such a cop-out, but like, Bad Batch,
just tied.
They're just tied for me, man. I mean, like, I think that they're so good in their own way. It's really hard to rank Visions alongside something because it's just so unique in its own way. I'll think about it.
At the end of the day, it doesn't matter. This isn't our tier list. This is just more so us talking about 2023 projects and which ones we liked the best and which ones were maybe we liked a little bit less. But yeah, Visions, in my opinion, I think people have been sleeping on it a ton. If you and if you haven't watched it, I know a lot of people who haven't watched season 2. Go watch it. It's really, really good.
Please do. Like, I mean, you've got such good Star Wars content to go through, man. Mm-hmm. I mean, it makes me want to read the Ronin book.
Dude, did you see that there's a Ronin comic coming out?
No way.
I mean, yeah. It's basically an American manga. It's a manga artist. He's writing it and he's doing the artwork, and it comes out when you're listening to this. It comes out this month. We're recording this on New Year's Eve. So,
dude, imagine if they made a Ronin show. I would be there.
I'd be there
so fast.
And I don't even care if it's connected to anything, man. It's so cool. He's literally this wandering Ronin who kills Sith. He takes out Sith. Like, that's cool. Throw that in the Old Republic, bro. I don't like.
Yeah, here's the thing, dude. I mean, unless you really start thinking of some specifications, Star Wars is millennia spanning. So all of this could theoretically fit like in some certain way, shape, or form.
In mine, actually, I view Visions as like really in the future, because you see like Imperial helmets, but also First Order helmets, and you see and in my head I'm like, it's thousands of years in the future. There's maybe a bunch of Sith running around, like, or people who are claiming to be Sith, and the Ronin is just like, he's not a Jedi. He's just out there killing Sith, man. Like, it's
just pure entropy.
So cool.
It could be in another galaxy, like we've got other galaxies established now. So
yeah, I mean, it's cool stuff. Yeah. Word of advice: don't get so hung up on canon. Enjoy stories even if they're not connected to canon or whatever. It's different storytellers. It's okay if stories are different, as Dave says. But yeah, I think we should go ahead and talk about Ahsoka, because Ahsoka was my number 3 and your number 2. Mm-hmm. So I think that is the second to last project we should discuss.
Yeah. I guess I'll go ahead and go into it. Ahsoka, I put Ahsoka as my season 2. Initially I put Ahsoka as my ranking 2. Sorry, I got season 2 on the brain. But I put Ahsoka as my second ranking. Because just looking back on the show, because we still have to do our retrospective, eventually. It's just kind of pure Star Wars,
It is.
There are some moments, especially in the latter half of the season, that I was like, I'm not sure how I feel about the execution here. But ultimately, it was still really well done, and I just thought that it was such a satisfactory Star Wars story that adds a lot to the universe that we have right now. Especially just adding the fact that we've got another galaxy that we are visiting now. That season 2 will probably take place in. I mean, not probably. That season 2 will take place in.
It better.
Yeah, it better.
If they stray away from that, I'm going to be very upset.
Yeah, it added on top of Rebels. We got some closure to the Rebels conclusion finally. We got to see Ezra and Sabine and Ahsoka. We got Hera. We've got a lot of great things here, and then we have the addition of Baylan and Shin, which are 2 fantastic characters, which I have to see more of. And wonderful performances, of course. We also got Thrawn in live action. I just think ultimately it was an adventure that was very fun and entertaining for me. That also we got Hayden Christensen back as our good man Anakin. We got some flashbacks with him. A really cool world between worlds sequence between Ahsoka and Anakin / Vader. Yeah. It was just awesome. I mean,
Well, we started our show when Ahsoka started. That was kind of the kickoff of Mortis FM. And so if you want our deeper thoughts week to week, feel free to go back and listen to those episodes. I think we've got about, I want to say 9 or 10 episodes because we did some extra ones in there. But if you're interested, go back and listen to that. But that was a show that like you and I were just so excited week to week to go back and watch, we were, or not go back, but to just watch. I was like, man, I cannot wait for Ahsoka, and lately that's been kind of, I don't want to say rare, but like, a lot of the shows, they vary in quality. And the only reason why I put Vision season 2 above it is because I watched it all in one day and I was like, bro, I love this, But Ahsoka is again for me is pretty close up there where it's just pure Star Wars. It's 8 episodes of Star Wars goodness, great lightsaber fights, really good special effects, good performances across the board, and it sets up some really good story threads for whatever's happening in the main galaxy, but also what's happening on Peridea. And again, Baylan, character of the year in my opinion. I mean, he was one of the best inserts into Star Wars, and it just expands on so much of the history and the mythology when it comes to the Purrgil and the different galaxies and the star maps and what's going on with the Zepho and the Dathmiri and
the Night Sisters, right?
And of course Mortis, right? So
Mortis, which was just a bomb drop at the end there.
Yeah. That's one of my favorite moments. That moment itself was one of my favorite moments of the year, was when that happened. I was like, yo, okay, the story's not done. Like there is clearly more setup here. The story is yet to be over. And that's why I think maybe you and I appreciate Ahsoka a little bit more. And I love these discussions because they just help me appreciate these things more. I mentioned a little while ago that I'd been kind of down on Ahsoka because it hasn't been there's a lot of haters for it, and there's a lot of haters for Star Wars in general.
Yeah.
But the show I just really enjoyed, and I think I was maybe letting people and their thoughts of the show just affect me too much of like, well, maybe I shouldn't like this,
It starts bogging you down, the negativity just really gets to you sometimes. And it starts subconsciously changing your perspective.
Yeah.
Man, I completely forgot to mention, we got Hu Yang in there.
One of the best droids.
10 out of 10.
Maybe one of my favorites.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of mine.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a good show all around. I think it's got a really great cast of characters. It does a lot for not only the mythology of the galaxy, but the mythology of the Force, with that, tying into Sabine's training and even little Jason Syndulla and his powers in the Force, and like you said, Ezra coming back. There's just a lot there, and I'm really excited to see more of Peridea and that galaxy. And specifically, I just want to know what Baylan is up to and how Ahsoka and Sabine are going to stop him.
I need more Mortis related content, because we haven't. I mean, like we've gotten snippets here and there, but only snippets. But now it's finally led up to this, and rest in peace though, Ray. Rest in peace, Ray.
Rest in peace, Ray Stevenson. Truly, it makes me so sad. I really do hope, in the midst of filming, Tales of the Jedi Season 2 is coming out, like I said, I really hope he got to do some voiceover for Baylan. I hope they were cooking some episodes of a young Baylan and his kind of departure from the Jedi and him finding Shin. That's something I'm fairly certain that literally everybody wants.
I would love that so much. Because he was a general, so like I want to see him in the Clone Wars.
General Skull. Ahsoka's great. Ahsoka was really solid and one of my favorite, live action shows that we've gotten. I mean, for me, it's like Ahsoka, Mando, and Andor. Those are kind of like the three just really good Star Wars content and do a lot of different things in a really cool way. Like I said, when we were talking about Mando, that show does so much for just kind of like the adventure of the week, the side stories of the galaxy. Andor being kind of the everyday man, the people learning to rise up and fight against the Empire, and Ahsoka expanding the mythology of the Force and the greater galaxy. And we were talking about on our Tales from the Archives episode, like Plagueis references to these beings, the Celestials, that the rumor is that they were just normal Force users that somehow transcended, and that sets up a lot of whatever Balin might be doing, maybe what ends up happening to Ahsoka. You and I have been big proponents of wanting Ahsoka to become the new daughter.
I just think it would work. I just think it would work.
So it's a lot of cool stuff and a lot of really good setup and a really good season 1. So let's hope we get an announcement for season 2, please.
Well, I don't want to spread information, but I believe we already know that it's been greenlit.
It's like kind of rumored. We don't, because the show wrapped when the strikes are still going.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Well, in my mind, I think it's something that they are working on. I think Ahsoka got some pretty resounding success. So, yeah.
Well, stay tuned. Well, Grayson, we have a commonality here once again.
Mm-hmm. Once again,
number 1 is our good boy, Jedi Survivor.
Dude, I love this game so much, man.
Oh God, I love this game, dude.
It was, for context, I like Fallen Order a lot. I think it's a great game, in my opinion, and it's an unpopular opinion, but I think Survivor truly trumps Fallen Order in every way. That's just me.
I was about to use the exact same verbiage there. I mean, it trumps it, dude. Fallen Order is great. I love Fallen Order. I played it at, a really just a nostalgic time for me, I would say.
Yeah.
I have a lot of nostalgia playing that game, but Survivor, I mean, it takes everything that we got from Fallen Order and it just increases it exponentially.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, we got our amazing twists. We have just some fantastic character development for Cal and Seer, and oh man, we got a great new character, Bode and Dagan Gera, and Ravis. It's just such an excellent Star Wars story.
Yeah.
I honestly don't want to go into spoiler talk here, unless we preface it, because I feel like there's a lot of people that I know that really like Star Wars, but they haven't had the chance to play the game yet.
It's because it's limited to next gen consoles, and I know that's tough for some people because people are still trying to get their Series X's or beef up their PC or get a PS5. So I'll just go ahead and say that we love Jedi Survivor. I don't want to spoil it for you. Just know that it's our number 1, and it might be yours too. So we'll leave it at there. I'll give you about 10 seconds to pop off.
Please check it out. Do yourself a favor. It is some amazing Star Wars content.
Mm-hmm.
Just go. We'll be here when you get back.
Okay. You can go into spoilers now.
You want to take the reins on this, my guy?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, the betrayal of Bode Akuna is it's one of my favorite twists, not only in Star Wars, but in video games. I mean, when that happened, I think I'm trying to remember, I think you were ahead of me because I came to visit you and our mutual friend. And so I was playing it a little bit while I was there, but you had a little bit of a jump start. And so I think you got to that stuff before me. And when that stuff happened, I mean, I was, first of all, the twist of him, working for the Empire and him, killing Eno Cordova, which also really cool inclusion.
Right after he came back too. I mean,
and then you chase after Bode.
Yeah.
And then he reveals he's like, oh, you weren't the only one who survived. And he uses the Force push and you're like, what? And then he pulls out the lightsaber reverse grip with the blaster. I was like, what?
Dude, okay, so yeah, first off, the twist of him being a traitor, usually I expect those sorts of things. I was completely blindsided by that. I was like, no, I could tell that something bad was about to happen. I had kind of this feeling. I'm not gonna, make it applicable to the Force, but I had a sense that something bad was about to happen. Yeah. And then when it happened, I was just so distraught. So, we chased down Bode, and it's literally, it is one of my top favorite Star Wars moments of all time now, where, you get up close to him, He force pushes you away, says you're not the only one who survived, and then does a reverse grip lightsaber. And I'm like, no way, dude. At this specific moment, I was actually like hollering. And things don't make me do that. I am not the kind of person when I'm consuming content to be like hooping and hollering, like we're like, woo, you know, but while I was like, when that happened, I was like, no way, dude, no.
And then right after that, you get to jump, he beats you, you get beat, or if you beat him, no matter what, you get knocked unconscious and you click respawn, and your respawn is Seer.
Dude, Seer, you're fighting down the Empire, and then Vader shows up, and it's like, it is a 4-phase boss fight where she almost takes him down, dude. I mean, it's so, and then, like, you thought that the game was gonna end there, but no, dude, we're chasing down Bode. We're gonna go to this Imperial base. We're gonna go to Tantalor. It is such a, like, I was specifically like, dude, when is this, and not in a bad way, I was like, when is this game gonna end? Like, I don't know when it ends at this point. I thought it was gonna end right with Vader, just like it did last time. But, I mean, here I am still. I'm on this Imperial base, and oh wait, no, I'm on Tantalor now.
And the commentary of Cal going closer and closer towards the dark side, you know, of protecting his family. I mean,
and then you get to use the dark side, and the way that it does it is just so well done, because it's so easy to use. I was playing on Grandmaster mode from the beginning, and it made everything just so much easier. And then after that mission, when you press start, the menu
red.
Screen is red, and I was like, oh no, dude. And not to mention, the story ends on a bad note.
Not good.
It's not good. Like Marin's talking to Kata about making sure that you don't lose yourself. The camera pans over to Cal, and the musical note plays like a lower key, and I'm like, oh God, no, this is not this. We're not doing well. I'm really worried about him. I'm really worried about Cal.
I mean, he kills Bode. Like you talk about
Double
it
taps
all the time. Just
dude, it's
lays him out.
It's so, what a great story.
It makes me really nervous because, you know, we talk about how much I love Kanan, right? And Kanan is this character where, you know, a lot happens to him, but at the end of the day, he does not falter into the dark side, and he uses the love for that he has for Hera and for his family, that being Ezra and Sabine and Zeb, everybody. He uses that in a way to sacrifice himself, whereas like he never falters to the dark side. Cal is in this position where he's very similar, where he has this family, and now he has someone that he loves, that being Marin. Like they are cemented as now a couple, and now he's taken Kata under his wing. I mean, not to say that like, you know, Kata doesn't know what happened. Like she almost got hurt by her father, but I'm like, where does this go? Like, I'm so excited, but I'm so nervous. Like when Fallen Order ended, I was like, that was a great game. This one, and I'm like, this is amazing. Like I need more. I need more right now.
I felt so just distraught when the game was over, because I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen next now. Mm-hmm. I mean, where do we go from here? And I have to find out. I mean, at the very least, Fallen Order was left at a point where you're like, okay, well, what do we do now? But it's in a sense of I can wait for this to cook. But in this one, it's kind of like, I mean, it's literally like, this is the Empire Strikes Back of the trilogy.
Absolutely.
Where the bad stuff happens, and you have to know what happens next. And I gotta know. I mean, Cal, this game made Cal one of my favorite Star Wars characters. He is almost right up there with Obi-Wan now. And I mean, he was not that in Fallen Order. I thought he was great in Fallen Order, but Jedi Survivor, I mean, he's up there now. So what's gonna happen? I gotta know. What an amazing Star Wars story. Best project of the year. Can't wait to see what happens next.
Yeah, I'm stoked. I mean, you've basically said everything that I need to say. The only thing I can think of is in terms of a gameplay standpoint, you know, the the expansion on being able to use different lightsaber styles, whether it's single or double or dual or crossguard or blaster, like gives you so much creative freedom with how you want to play. You know, like the way you played was different than me, right? Like I
was dual sabers the entire time.
Yeah, that was your thing. Whereas like I kept just a single saber and then the blaster because I love using a saber with a blaster. That's the Kyle Katarn in me, you know. But
you also got to customize how Cal looked, and you got to customize your lightsaber, you know, and your blaster.
Looks.
How BD looks. It's there. It just adds so many good things to Fallen Order's paradigm, like its game structure. Which just makes me really excited. Yeah, the enemy types
expanded upon the planets.
You get to fight some repurposed separatist droids, which was really sick. The boss fights were awesome. I mean, they were just so cool. The set pieces, like with Marin using Night Sister magic to move you around, it was like a roller coaster. That was just so much fun. Yeah. Oh man. And then also hunting down different bounty hunters of the Brood. We got Boba Fett showing up.
Boba Fett, yeah.
Man.
They killed it.
Great game. Great game.
I mean, the exploration is really is phenomenal. Just being able to, like, the hunt to want to collect these different, materials or pieces of your pistol or different clothing articles or hairstyles and beard styles, things like that. Like, you can really make Cal be how you want to be, and I really want to go back and play on New Game Plus with the modifier that allows everything to be like basically one hit with a lightsaber. Basically you deal a ton more damage, but everything else does a lot more damage to you, like 1 or 2 blaster shots and you're dead, or but like a lightsaber like can take out a boss in one hit. That gamble sounds so cool to me.
I feel like some really interesting challenge runs. We also got the cantina too, like finding people to add to the cantina was just so nice.
That's one of my favorite features.
And all of the musical tracks, that game is just so good. I want to go back and replay it now.
I cannot wait to see how much more they expand upon the next game.
Me too.
I'm a little worried because it was Steg Asmussen, or Asmunsen, however you say it. He departed the project, or he left the team. I don't think it was anything bad. I think he just moved on to a different position, but he was a very integral part in that. So I hope whoever they get in to step in is a worthy successor. But at
the very least, we still have the team, as far as I can tell.
Yeah,
and the writer,
Cameron Monaghan is still there, and he says, from what I remember, he said that is in development, and it's going to be really good. So I'm excited.
I'm excited. Let's get to it.
And can we just get more Star Wars video games in general? I know they take a little bit longer, but I mean, hey, this Survivor was one of the first games in a while where I was like, oh, that goes up there in like the high ranks of my Star Wars games.
Yeah, I'm happy that we're back into a phase where like we've got multiple different Star Wars game projects that are being worked on right now. So we're gonna get there. Now that the IP is pretty much open to any studio that Disney wants to work with.
So cool.
But yeah, I need me some more. I miss the days where you had, Battlefront 2 and KOTOR and Force Unleashed and even Jango Fett Bounty Hunter, like all that stuff, going at the same time. I mean, and Republic Commando, having all of these options to choose from, and it's basically like, it's kind of like Star Wars Visions, where you just see a bunch of different interpretations of Star Wars. So yeah. Can't wait for that.
I'm excited. Well, that's going to do it for our top 5 2023 projects, or at least the ranking of them, I guess, because there only really was 5. If there was more, we would have ranked those too. But I'm very excited for next year. I don't really know what I'm most excited for. I mean, speaking of video games, we have Outlaws coming out. We'll see how that goes. I mean, it's Ubisoft, and I'm not a big Ubisoft person, but maybe this will be a good one.
Cautious. Being cautious.
I'll still get it. We'll see how it is. And then we've got, like I said, Tales from the Jedi Season 2, Tales of the Jedi, and then Bad Batch Season 3. I believe The Acolyte as well.
I
Skeleton
hope so.
Crew.
Yeah,
I hope so too.
and I mean, who knows what kind of stuff will be announced further into the year? Who knows?
Yeah. We're also next year, you and I on Tales from the Archives, we will be experiencing a lot more Star Wars stories with different books and things. So,
Indeed.
So maybe next year we can, when it kind of gets around this time of year, we can talk about some of our favorite moments in Star Wars that we experienced in 2023. We can maybe make that a separate thing where we can talk about like, oh, hey, we wrap up Plagueis. You know, one of my favorite moments was this part in Plagueis because we experienced that this year, and that just added a lot. So, time will tell. We still have a whole year ahead of us, but hey, Happy New Year's to everybody, and we're very excited for what the next year of Mortis FM brings us. We've already made a lot of progress and a lot of connections. Just met a lot of really cool people within the past roughly 3 months that we've been doing this. 4 months, I should say, actually. So who knows what the next 12 could bring us. But thank you guys for your support in all regards, wherever you listen, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Podcasts. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, everyone, for continually watching, continually listening, and for just making Mortis FM into something that we enjoy coming back to every single week.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of my favorite things, and it's my passion project. I know you've got your YouTube channel, but you're also a big part of this as well. And shout out to all the people that support us, whether it's Will at Diamond Figs. We've got Beyond the Dune Sea, Connor and Seth there, Tony, Ashton, all these people that support us, and just regular people that are fans of us, like Quinlan Voss and the real Quinlan Voss. No.
And, thanks, Quinlan Voss.
Andrew Haley, you're the man. Just people like you guys. It makes it really fun and makes me want to keep going. Has inspired me. So yeah.
The biggest problem in the galaxy is that no one helps each other. You know. True. We got to stick together as a community, right?
What line is that from?
That is that's little Anakin referencing his mom. He says I'm pretty sure he says, he's like, my mom says the biggest problem in the galaxy is no one helps each other.
It's true.
Yeah. So just stay positive. I know that there's a lot of toxicity going around in the community at the moment. Like, obviously, you know, you it's hard to ignore just overt almost injustice at this point. But like, if you see someone that's just trying to make you mad just for the sake of it, or if you feel like you want to bite back at some dude that's just trying to get a rise out of you, just remember why you love Star Wars and go into the new year with just some positivity, you know? Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's all.
Exactly.
That's all you got to do.
Well said. Well, you can follow us at Mortis FM on Instagram and on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. I already said that earlier. You can follow me at Shradester8 as well.
You can follow me at the.cosmic.drifter on Instagram.
Mm-hmm. And I have his YouTube channel linked in the description as well. I've had for a couple weeks, but it's been there. In case you didn't know, go subscribe to him as well.
Thanks.
You've got a lot of stuff planned for 2024 as well, so I'm excited to see what you produce.
I make some really intermittent, but also fantastic videos. So
it's of nothing but pristine quality.
Thank you, sir. I got something cooking right now, so
he does. Let him cook.
Let him cook.
Cole, may the force be with you, my friend.
And with you, always.